Hi, in this video we're going to work with files in Python. So we're going to do a complete program. I'm going to do it a couple of different ways. So let me get this opened here and open up a new file. And what we're going to do, get this set up here a little bit. Okay, and I'll bring up my document here and kind of show you what we're doing here. So, oops. So just a little like a real life scenario type thing here. Decided it would make it easier if you had a record of all your friends, their age, and their phone numbers. Most people have these in their contact list on their phones. But what if your phone gets damaged and you cannot retrieve your contact list? So we're going to write a series of programs that can be used through a main program to allow you to add records, display records, modify records, and delete records. We're going to start with a program that will let the user add and display records. We will then create a program that will allow the user to modify a record, then create a program that will allow the user to delete a record, and finally we will combine these programs into one program, breaking it down into functions and adding a menu for the user. So we're going to do it as separate programs, and then what we'll do is take all those programs and copy and paste them into a main program that will do that. We could also save these as separate programs and then import them in, but we're going to do a little bit different this one here. So um, different ways of doing things, and I always like to uh, set it up that way so that you can see different ways of being able to do things. So the first one here, I'm going to go get the file here. This is going to be the one to add friends to the file. So we'll start off here with the main. Open up the file. We're going to call it friend.txt. We're going to open it up for an append. That way, if we add these on later, they'll be added onto the rest of the ones we already have in there. Whoops. We're going to call this friend file. So name is going to be equal to an input. Whoops. Keep hitting the wrong keys here. Okay, so now the way I like doing this, I've seen this in textbooks before where they use um, a variable to say like again, and they set it equal to y, and so then while again you process it at the end, it says, do you want to add another one, and you have to type in a yes or a no on it. Well, that just is another input that the user has to do. To me, it makes it more complicated. So because if they get going on this, and then they forget to do that, and they put a name in there, then all of a sudden it drops out of it, and you're lost on that. So we're going to go ahead and set this up to where when they're done, all they have to do is press the enter key, and it will then get out of the loop. Okay, so now while name does not equal quote quote, that would be they press the enter key. So while it's not equal to that, then we'll continue on in here. Ask them to enter the age. Again, if I hit the right keys. And if you haven't noticed, I use double quotes on almost everything. And that's because that in the olden days when I was learning all this stuff, most of the languages I used required double quotes around strings, which is what most of ours are doing, and single quotes around characters. And some languages like Visual C Sharp distinguishes between strings and characters. So I just got in that habit and I've never gotten out of it. So that's why I do it this way. Then we want to enter the phone number. So phone is going to be equal to input. Okay. So now we got that in there. Now what we want to do is write this information to the file. So friend file dot write. And then we have to specify what we're going to write. So I'm going to use an F string format. So curly brace name And then we need to put a \n on this so it'll do a carriage return on it to go to the next line. And when I do the age, I'm not positive on this. I'm going to do it this way anyway, just to be sure of it, is I'm going to convert the age into a string before I write it to the file. So I have a curly brace, str, and then in parentheses age, ending curly brace, and the \n. And then we want to do the phone, and that one would be a string because you'd have the dashes in there when you enter those in there. Okay. And then what do we need to get the next one, next name? And actually, what I'm going to do, show you that you can do this also, is I'm just going to copy this and paste it down here. And two reasons. One is that it saves some typing. The other is that if the first one is typed incorrectly, then it eliminates the possibility of having an error there. The one con on this is that if you made an error in this one up here, then you just copied and pasted the error down here also. So you have to be careful with that. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is just print out a message outside of the while loop. Just specifying that the data was appended to friend.txt. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and call our main function. Okay. And we use this if statement here if you haven't ever seen this before, because when you get into writing classes and you're doing a lot of testing and stuff, a lot of times you want to put a small main program in the class so that you can test it out. Then when you go ahead and write the main program and you set it up with the main in here, this will run off of this main and not run the main in the class. Okay. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and get this saved. And the noise you hear in the background, if you hear that, is my wife's on the phone and she's pretty loud. So, okay, so I'm going to go to my external hard drive and the folder where I'm doing this. And in here, I'm going to go ahead and open up a new folder and call this I'm just going to call it testing just so I have another folder on there. And then the name I'm going to give this is add friend.py. Okay, so we got that in there. And now we'll test it out and run it, see if it works. Enter a name. I'm going to type in Bill. Friend's age, 34. Phone number, 555-5555. Enter a name, Mary, 54, 444, 4444. And then I'm just going to press enter. Okay. So now what I can do here is I can go to that folder. And there's my testing folder. And then there's my friend file. And there I have Bill with the age and the phone number and Mary with the age and the phone number. Okay, so everything looks good. Okay, so now that we can add names to the file, let me do one more thing here. Let's go ahead and run this one more time. I'm only going to put in one this time. And say Sally 44 333 3333, and then I'm going to press enter. Now when I look at the friend text file, you'll see that we have Bill, Mary, and Sally all in there now. And the reason that works like that is because we did it as an append. If we would have done it as a write, W in here instead of an A, then it would have erased the other stuff in there and started over again with a new one. So, okay, so I'm going to open up a new one now. And resize it. I can get rid of this one for right now. We'll get that later. And the one we want to use now is we're going to do display. Okay. So this one we just want to print out all the friends that we have in there. With open friend.txt, and we're opening this for read this time because we're reading the data out of it. Okay, so in here we want to pull the name out of the file. So name is going to be equal to friend file dot read line, and then, well, name does not equal quote quote. Age is going to be equal to an int. We're going to need to convert it to an int because everything you read from a file is a string. Friend file dot read line. You have two parentheses there at the end. Close off the int. Phone is going to be equal to friend file dot read line, and then name is going to be equal to name dot rstrip \n. Okay. Once we have the name, all the information for that, then we can go ahead and print this stuff out. So we're going to print. Oh, and then this one here, the rstrip here, this gets rid of the carriage return off of there, so it doesn't print that out and you set another blank line in there. Okay, so now we're going to print quote mark name colon space and then the curly brace name and curly brace, okay, quote parentheses, and then print again F colon, this time it's going to be age, and then in the curly brace str parentheses age, whoops, end parentheses end curly brace, and then end quote end parentheses, and then print again F quote mark phone number curly brace phone end quote end parentheses. Okay, and then we need to get the next name. So again, we could do a copy on this and copy and paste it in, or we could type it in. Either way will work. And then we just need to call main. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this saved. And since I opened the empty one out of the same folder, or off the file that's in the same folder where I want to put it, it's going to default back to there. Okay, this one I'm going to call display friends. .py. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I did the wrong thing there. I did an open instead of a save as. I was talking about open when I did that. So, there we go. Got it. Save it. And then we'll run this. See if I got any errors in here when I do this. And there we go with the names. We can put a blank line in there to separate that out on there. So everything worked great. So we'll do one more here, and then I'm going to shut off this video and we'll start another video to finish things up. But the next one is a search. Okay, so let's say we want to find a specific person in here. Minimize that there. So I'm going to start a new file. Bring this down. I can get rid of this one. I'm not using it right now. Okay, so on this one, what we want to do is allow the person to enter a name, and then while that name is not quote quote, meaning that while we haven't run out anything in the file, then we'll go ahead and get the age and the phone number. We'll strip off the carriage return off the name. I'm sorry. Okay, let me go back. We ask them to enter a name, the one they want to look for. Then we go out to the file and get the first name out of the file. While it's not quote, quote, meaning there was something in there to read. We get the age and the phone number. We strip the carriage return off of the name from the file. We then check to see if the name is equal to our search name. If they're equal, then we print out the information. We have a Boolean variable that we had set to false before we started. So now we're going to set that to true because we found it, and then we'll read in the next name. Then if we did not find it, we would print out a message telling that we did not find the name in the file. Now, if you're going to have unique names in here, which you probably should, but there is always a possibility that you could have two friends with the same name. So you have to decide what you're going to do with that. But if they're all going to be unique names in here, then you could add that found in the while loop. So once you find it, you can go ahead and quit. And I'll show you that one too, but let's do this one first. Okay, so we're going to set found equal to false. We're then going to ask them to enter a name. We're going to call that search. Okay. And then we're going to open up the file. And we're opening this up for a read. Set name equal to friend file.readline. Then we'll do our while loop. While name is not equal, quote, quote, going in process. Age is going to be equal to our int friend file dot read line, second closing parentheses there. Phone is equal to friend file dot read line. Okay. So the name is going to be equal to name dot rstrip, and this is going to be our \n. And so now, if name equals our search, then we can display the information. Okay, and then we're going to set found equal to true. We got to get the next name, so I'll put that down here. And then that's the end of our while loop. So now when we get that done, we just need to be able to let the user know if we didn't find the name, because you don't want it just to come back and be done. So I'm going to do an if statement here, if not found. So if found is false, then not found would be true. So we'll go into the if statement. And I could change item here to name, make it a little bit more personal there, or whatever in there. Okay, so that's it for that. So now we're just going to call this main function here. Okay, so that's all we need to do on here. I already read through all this for you, so if you have any questions on that, let me know, or let your instructor know. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one. And this one I'm going to save as search file .py. Okay, and then let's run it and see if I typed in any mistakes on here. So I'm going to enter the name, I'm going to enter Bill. There's the information for Bill, and the program stops. Okay, I'm going to run it one more time here. Second, wrong key there. Get rid of this thing. Enter Jack. Comes back. That name was not found in the file. Now, not too bad. We only have 3 names in there. Run pretty fast. But if we had, say, 4,000, my wife's got over 4,000 people on Facebook. She doesn't know most of them. They're just because of her being in real estate. She wanted to have as many people in there as possible so they could get information and stuff. So anyway, but one of the things that we could do is up here, we can put and not found. So what this will do is, while the name does not equal quote, quote, and we still haven't found what we're looking for, it will run through this. Once we find the name, it will stop. It will drop out. Okay, so let's run this again. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So now we put in Bill, does the same thing, comes right back. But if we had 1,000 names in here and we were running this and Bill was the first one like it is in ours, it would still go through all the rest of them. Now this only works if it's unique names and you don't want to print out every, and you just want to find that one. If you had ones in here that would have multiple records of the same name and you wanted to print out all of them, then then this wouldn't work on that. Okay? So hopefully this was helpful for you on here, and I will